Um, my name is Josh Varone. I am the CEO of Varone Consulting. I've worked in business operations and technology for about 15 years. Most recently, I was the senior director of operations for North America for a global tech company. In that role, I was rolling out AI to all of North America for the company. Before that, I was COO of a consulting firm. So that's a little bit of my background. And this really it's more of a workshop. I'd like to be interactive. So this session is going to be focused on GPTs and hopefully it'll be interactive and we can engage a little bit. So let me pull up Chat GPT here. Okay. And maybe you could tell me, are you familiar with GPTs? Have you built any of your own just so I have an idea of where we're starting from?
I'm familiar, but I have not built any.
Okay. And D?
I've been looking at some YouTube videos, okay?
Okay. All right, cool. So we'll go through some of the basic stuff, right? So you have ChatGPT, which is a product of OpenAI. ChatGPT 3.5 is free to everyone. It's very quick, but it has some limitations. ChatGPT 4 is more advanced. It can do things with images. It can access the web. And then you also have this section for custom GPTs, as they're referred to. And within GPTs, there's this GPT store, which is similar to the App Store on Google or Apple. And with this one, at this point, there's nothing that's being sold. You just have access to these GPTs. And you can think of these GPTs as Chat GPT, but for a specific use case. And we can take a look at a couple of them here, right? So these are built by Chat GPT. And this is, let's see, Cosmic Dream. This is one that I really like. So you can start a chat and feel free to stop me at any point if I'm moving too quick or you didn't catch something. But Cosmic Dream is one, right? Visionary painter of digital wonder is how they describe it. And we could put any prompt into here, anything we want to see as an image, and it'll put specific styling on it. So we can do something like, get really crazy, like dragons in space. And another thing you'll notice is that with ChatGPT 3.5, it's very fast. It's super quick. Before I even finished the sentence, it would have already given me the answer. With GPT-4 and the GPTs, they're a little bit slower. But here's an output. Another thing you can do with GPTs is you can jump between GPTs, right? So this one is focused on creating this sort of cosmic feel image. But what you could do is, and these are for either recent ones that you've used or ones that you've pinned, but what you have the option to do, and let's see if it'll cooperate here, is simply by putting the @ symbol, you're able to pull up other GPTs. There we go. And so this is another one that's built by ChatGPT. And it's specifically geared towards creating coloring pages for kids. So I have two little kids. So we use this quite a bit where we'll create an image and then we'll make it into a coloring page that we can then download and print out. And the image will not always be exactly the same as the image you're giving it, but you have this option. And you can see pretty similar, but this is obviously geared towards coloring. The other thing you can do in Coloring Book Hero is you could just give it a prompt and it'll build a coloring page for you just like that. Another thing, let's see, let's go back to GPTs, right? So other GPTs that are interesting, there's one called Sous Chef. And this one is cool because you could even take a picture, right? So here's a picture of my fridge. What should I make? And so that's another way to integrate images that you have in your day-to-day life and bring it in. But we don't have an image, so we'll just say, let's click on this one, right? And they give you these starting prompts. But what I like about this GPT, the way it's done, is it automatically starts off with some questions. And in my opinion, this is a good way for a GPT to function and to be built, is where it gives you start off with a prompt and then it will prompt the user to get more information, right? So for this one, it's asking for some dietary preferences. So we'll say like, no shellfish. And then we'll say, what do they like? We'll say, I don't know, we'll say Japanese. And then skill level, how good are you in the kitchen? I'm okay in the kitchen, right? And you can see, even though it's asking me for these as the answer, I can off-road a little bit and it'll still work. I can put typos in, I didn't write I, comma, M or apostrophe M. I just did I am and it works fine. And so it gives me the
Hey,
menu.
Josh,
Yeah.
just a curiosity. Could you do something like, hey, I've got, rotisserie chicken, um, onions, tomatoes, and bacon in my refrigerator, and I want to make something. Can you recommend a recipe or something like that? I don't know. Is that sort of in line with this?
Yeah, tell me again. You have chicken, onions, potatoes, and what?
Yeah, I mean, let's say sausage. Let's see, like onions, potatoes, sausage, peppers. What should I
Yep.
make?
Yeah, so I'll put it in again with some extra typos. And here we go, right? So it's generating straight away. You can make a sausage and chicken potato hash, and it's giving me the ingredients. It's giving me the instructions, right? It's all step by step, which again is a really good GPT that it breaks it down in that way. And you could say, if I want to make a side dish, make 3 recommendations. And a lot of this stuff will work in regular GPT 3.5 or 4, but this GPT is really customized just to focus on this, which is what makes it nice. And you can see here, right? So it's giving me some other options. I can make garlicky green beans. I can make roasted carrot and beet salad, cucumber salad, and it'll keep going. And then I can say, make me a shopping list. And what I imagine will be coming in the very near future is integration with things like Instacart and other delivery platforms. Because from here, in theory, I could hit a button and say, great, go buy me all this stuff. And I think that that's coming very soon. But you can see here, and it's nice that it breaks it down into a section for fresh produce and a section for pantry staples. And you could even say, show me what this meal might look like. And then it jumps straight into the image generator. And again, unfortunately, the image generator is not lightning fast. I'm sure that's coming soon. There are some other tools to do images that are coming out. Some of them are quicker, but it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. This is the style they've chosen. It looks realistic enough, right? I mean, you can tell this is AI, but it looks pretty darn good, and the food looks good, right? So, this is just another GPT that ChatGPT has built. You still with me, D?
Yeah, because I'm looking like, okay, because I just signed up for the basic subscription for Midjourney last night.
Okay.
And yeah, I need help with that. And but now these are different GPTs than like the version that we're all familiar with. and Midjourney? Because I see you did the coloring pages, you did the image with the dragon in space, and
Mhm.
then you just did something with that menu thing. So I'm trying to, yeah, follow along as best I can.
Yeah, so this is what you're used to, this screen, the regular Chat GPT 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is basically an add-on once you if you would upgrade to the pro version, which I think these days is 20 a month. Yeah, so this is the plus version. And so you get GPT-4 plus you get access to all of these GPTs. And you
So I would
mentioned
need the Midjourney. I would need the Midjourney subscription then, huh? If I got the
you wouldn't need
upgrade.
so Midjourney is a separate AI tool that's really
Okay.
focused on image generation. And since you mentioned it, I'll just point out over here, there is a GPT. It hasn't gotten great ratings, so I don't know that I would necessarily recommend it, nor have I played with it much. But the idea of this GPT is to take a very basic prompt and build it out so that when you put it into Midjourney has all the detail it needs to create a really clear image in the design that you want, right? So it's taking this, describe a serene landscape, breaking it out, and then you would copy this and put this into Midjourney. And you might want to edit it, right? So like it has a water feature. You might want this to be something different than a small clear stream, right? You might want this to be a raging river. But that's the idea of this. Um, does that make sense?
Sure. So, well, which GPT did you use to generate those images earlier, the coloring page and the
So,
flying dragon through space?
so I used a couple of different ones, and those are all within Chat GPT's Explore GPT page.
Okay.
So you have loads of options. The way they've set it up is once you're in the main page, you have these are geared towards images, these are geared towards writing, you have some for productivity, and they have a few different options here. So like this one whimsical designs, this is cool because um you can design a flow chart basically. And if you would draw a flow chart and upload it, you could put it in and it'll make it more structured. Um, or you can write out what you want. So you could say like, build me a flow to understand the different AI tools available. And let's just see what it does. Obviously, I haven't run this before. I'm doing this on the fly. And then you can see what's happening here. And this gets a couple of steps ahead of where I think we are. But this is called an action. And what it does is you see starting action. What it does is it's using Chat GPT and specifically this whimsical diagrams GPT to talk to another website, which in this case is the website Whimsical. And then you can see it's shown us this image, right? Outlining what we asked for. And you can view it further if you leave ChatGPT and go to their website. And then from here, you could even make edits. So and that's all this GPT does, right? That's the entire focus is to take whatever you've given it, make diagrams, and really it's to a degree it's a marketing funnel, right? They want people to use their tool, so they're offering this free GPT, and then immediately you're pushed into their website, right? So now I'm here on the Whimsical website. And so from here I could then edit, I could build this out further, or I could go back into the tool and I can say add another level. And we'll see how good it is, right? If it's a good GPT, it should be able to do that, or it should at least ask me for more information. If it's not a good GPT, it might just crash, or it might give me something new. But let's see what it can do.
Hey Josh, while we're waiting for that to load, I've got a question. So
Sure.
when you say a GPT, what's actually changing per GPT? It's not the engine, it's just the pre-qualification prompts. Is that what's different between different GPTs?
Um, let's hang on to it for a second. I'll show you the back end. So
Okay.
I'll show you how to we can build one now on the fly here, and I'll show you how it works. Um, but you can see over here, right? This was the initial one that it generated, and now we have a whole new level here. And so it built in a little bit more information, and you could keep going with that. I mean, this wasn't something I was necessarily looking to do, but this is very helpful if this is actually step by step, right? Let's see that.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's actually take Alan's question and see if we can play with this. So. Show me a step-by-step guide to build a custom GPT. Okay, right, and so here it's just going to build a regular flow chart and we'll see what it looks like. And then after this, we'll jump into some of the back end of what it looks like to actually build a GPT and what differentiates it from just what we'll call regular chat GPT. Right? So you're starting, you're defining the objective, you're collecting the data, which you may or may not be doing, processing if you are, choosing the model architecture. We're not really doing that just because everything we're doing is in ChatGPT. I would say most of this is to build a GPT outside of the ChatGPT infrastructure, but this is a pretty good diagram. So let's jump into this one. Okay, so this is a GPT that I built myself. And the entire purpose of this GPT, or at least when I started, the entire purpose of this GPT was any topic I give it, I wanted to write an article. And the format of that article is 5 tips for whatever. So anything you'd want to write an article on?
Um, Pet care.
Pet care. Okay, great.
Or maybe date that a little on like choosing a dog or acquiring a dog.
Okay, so let's run a new one here quickly. I'm just gonna, and I could keep it in this one, but I like to always start fresh, unless it doesn't let me. Let's see, here we go. Okay, so tell me once more, choosing a dog.
Yeah, how to choose the right dog for my family.
And what I've done beyond writing the article is I asked it to do a couple of other things. So we're gonna see those other things as we're going, and then we'll look at how I set it up in order to do those things. The other thing is to keep in mind that this is not a choosing your dog GPT. This is a writing an article GPT, and so it's pulling on more general knowledge. But let's just see how it goes, right? And so the setup I built, aside from asking it to create an image, which is good for social media when I'm posting this article, is I want it to have a title, I want it to have a little bit of a blurb, and then I want the five tips, right? So
Now
assess,
that image, can you use that? Is that like
yes, yes. So the word is escaping me, but I'm going to say the permissions. I'm sure you know the word, but OpenAI's policy on using images that are generated from the Chat GPT world is you don't need to put attribution. If you want to put attribution, they give you specific criteria on how to do it. All of it's listed on their site. I actually posted about it a couple of days ago. But you can find all the policies on their site. But the short answer is yes, you can use this.
okay,
Uh,
so our GPT is just sort of a set of criteria that you've kind of already outlined. Like, so for me, in my mind, I'm thinking about like if I wanted to have like a banner ad creator so that I could create
yep.
banner ads for my website. I could have a chat GPT that knows, the pixel count of the size of the image that I want and
any graphic standards that I have for my website and say, I need a banner that says this and accomplishes that and uses these kinds of images, and it'll put that together for you?
I would say mostly what you said is accurate. The pixels and things like that, it's not great at this point. So
Okay.
what I typically do is, and I'll show you a little bit more in this GPT, but what I typically do is I will download this. Often it's downloading as a web WEBP. So what I'll do is I'll then take that image and I'll throw it into Adobe's free image resizer, and then I'll resize it accordingly. And the Adobe resizer is good in that you can say, I want this for Instagram, I want this for Facebook, I want this for YouTube. One caveat is when I click YouTube, it often will give me an image that is 2.1 megabytes and YouTube's max is 2. So usually I wind up doing custom sizing, but that's just a little tangent. The rest of it, yes, you could say, here's the style of my website, and here is the feel that I want, and here are what typically, you could put all that stuff in. The other thing I would say to what you said is regarding the text, just be aware that historically AI has been not great at putting text into images though. But where I mean this month, well maybe not this month, but in the past 30 days, there have been huge advances in text, and there are other programs that are certainly moving past Dolly and ChatGPT's image generation to put text into an image.
Got it. Thanks.
Right. So, and we're going to look at that in a minute. So you have this article, right? Did a pretty good job. Consider your space and size. Think about allergies, temperament, long term. And then part of what I did in the back end is I said, always give me an additional 2 tips when you do this, because maybe I didn't really care for this one and I want to be able to sub one in. So I always ask it for an additional 2. I also always say, give me 5 titles for this article in addition to the one that you gave me up top, so that if I didn't love that one, I don't have to now prompt it again. It automatically is just there. And then I also said, always write a LinkedIn post for me, because a lot of times I'm going to take this article and then I'm going to post it straight to LinkedIn, and I want to have the post ready to go, and I want to have the title, and I want to have the image. So that's why, and this was a series of iterations to get to it. And then the last part is any public facing GPTs, and I'll show you the difference in a second, but any public facing GPTs, I like to put my contact information so people can reach out to me and just go straight to my site. So far, so good?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go into the back end of this, right? And so you can click over here and you can go into Edit GPT. And you have 2 sides here, but really you have 2 sides and then another 2 sides. So this is a preview window. If you're familiar with coding at all, this is what you can be testing, right? So I can just put in like this and it'll run the GPT. And then this side is where I can edit anything that's going on. So I'll make my edits, I'll hit save, confirm, and then I can run it to make sure it's working how I want it to. And if I need to change it, I'm right here and I can change it in the editing window. Well,
Yeah, so like if you wanted to add another section that said, give me, meta tags for
yeah,
my SEO efforts, you could add that as like an additional section down at the
we'll do
bottom.
it. Yeah, we could do it right now. So let me run through this and we'll add it in and we'll see it live, right? So first thing, you have your name, then you have your description, then you have all of your instructions, and I'll talk about instructions in a sec. Then you have these conversation starters, and so the conversation starters. Let me move this bar down. Sorry. Right, so the conversation starters are these buttons here, and as of now, you can have up to 4 of them. For this GPT, I literally only put in 1. And then some other things to see here. You can upload files. So to what you were talking about earlier, Alan, if you wanted to upload your business logo, in theory, you could upload that here and say, I always want that to be on the image. I don't know how well that would work, but that's something you could do. What you could also do is, let's say this was a 5 tips article writer about dog stuff. Any information that you have that you'd want to include, you could put here, right? So all the dog information you have in files, you can upload it, and then this GPT will be able to specifically pull from those documents. You could also upload examples of your writing, right? So the articles that are being generated here, this isn't necessarily how I write, but if you wanted, you could give it examples of your writing and it would sound more like your writing. And then over here under capabilities, you have web browsing, image generation, and code interpreter, which it allows more to be happening. I always turn all 3 of them on. And then actions is how you're basically pushing and pulling data to other sources, but I think that's a whole separate session. This is how you do it manually, right? You can input all of this stuff manually. The other side is you can use a GPT built by ChatGPT to build your own GPT. I know that was a mouthful. So let's look at this one. Let's make an edit, and then we can go into building our own. And I'll show you a little bit of what I have in here. And I've really, as time goes on, this I built a couple months ago. What I put into my instructions has changed quite a bit, but this one has worked well, so I don't mess with it. But the first thing I did was I gave it an example of what I want it to look like. Right, so this is an article that I actually did write. I probably used ChatGPT to help a little, but this is something I wrote. So this is the framework of it. And then I also said, create the image and provide a post for LinkedIn and give me 2 extra tips, right? There's nothing complicated here. I didn't write any crazy things. There's no code. I literally just wrote in what I wanted. So I can also say, also always provide meta tags, right? So we'll put that one line in, we'll close it, we'll update it. And over here, you can keep this as a personal thing or as something that only people who have the link can use, or you can share it with everyone. And there's a possibility it'll end up on the GPT store. I don't mind having it public, so I leave it open. So we'll make that edit. Okay. And then we could either run it in the preview or we can go into the live GPT. We'll go into the live one because why not? And do you have any topics?
I had one a moment ago when he was talking about pets. I had a discussion with a neighbor. I'd like to know how noise from construction, the effect it has on pets. If
Okay.
I try and express myself, clearly haven't had much sleep. I've been working on another project. But yeah, how does noise from construction affect pets? Something to that effect. Yeah.
All right. So we'll put in construction noise on pets and let's see what it says.
Thank you.
5 key strategies to protect your pets from construction noise. So my prompt wasn't as clear as it could have been to get exactly what you were saying, but this is giving some ideas of what to do, right? So you can create a safe haven. You can soundproof and insulate. You can maintain a routine and exercise, consult your vet, consider daycare or a pet sitter, and then some other ones, desensitization training. That sounds a little intense. Or update identification and secure fences. So I guess that that one might not be the greatest one. But then we have the LinkedIn post. This one, interestingly, did not run the image, but gave the description of the image. And then I could take this and run it. And then here are some of the meta tags, and the meta tags didn't didn't do a great job. So what I would do is I would go back in and I would go to the meta tag section and I would say always provide meta tags with a hashtag before and a comma after. And then I would do the update. And we could try it again and we'll try it here in the preview. So let's see, cats versus dogs. Okay, and so this is 5 tips for choosing between cats and dogs. Right, so similar to the last one, right? Consider living space, lifestyle, allergies, the cost. And we got the additional tips, we got the article names, we got the LinkedIn posts, and there we go. Right, and part of the reason I made sure to put the comma be the hashtag and then the comma after is on things like YouTube, I'd like to be able to just copy and drop the whole thing in. And on YouTube, at least for one, I noticed that if there isn't a comma and it just gave me a list of hashtag pet choice, hashtag cats versus dogs, I'd have to add in them manually. So this is just a preference. But then you see they generated the image here, it generated the image here, you got cats and dogs. Right. So editing it is really not overly complicated, especially for specific simple tasks. Okay. So let me show you.
Very powerful stuff.
It's the amount of time I save when I create and post a YouTube video, the amount of time I save is astronomical. I mean, it instead of taking me an hour, it probably takes me 25 minutes just using some of the GPTs that aren't even mine, right? So I can show you another one that I really like, this video summarizer. And you could just drop any link to a YouTube video in here and it'll summarize it. So this is where I always start. I upload my YouTube video and I just made a video on this also. I'll upload a YouTube video and then I will paste the link in here so it'll summarize it. And then I'll say make a description for the YouTube video. Give me meta tags for the YouTube video. So I don't have to think about any of that stuff. It'll automatically generate it. And then I'm just copying and pasting into YouTube. So yeah, it's really, really powerful. Let's do this. Let's create a GPT, and this time I'll show you using the builder, right? So you can see when you open a new GPT, you can fill it all in manually, or you can go to create and say, let's make a GPT that anything you'd want to see a GPT for?
Just say the Minneapolis skyline.
Say it once more.
Minneapolis skyline.
Well, so this would be building a new GPT that does a specific thing. So
So how about make a that makes skyline images?
okay, we can try that. So let's see what it does here, right? So the first thing it's saying is, what do you want to name it? Right? So we'll say there's proposing Skyline Creator. We'll say fine. Right? And you can see it already started populating these quick prompts or these conversation starters. And then you'll also see how it guides me through a process, right? That's another really nice thing about a good GPT, in my opinion, is that it is driving a lot of the interaction. So it gives me this little image and I can say, okay, if I wanted, I could change it. I can give it feedback, but I'll say fine. It's not a bad image. Okay. And now it's again asking me some more questions. So what kind of details should it focus on or avoid when creating skyline images?
I'd say it should be realistic based on what sounded like D was looking to get out of it. I would say let's make sure that it's realistic. Yeah, beautiful. Maybe ties to real maps. I don't know if they have, you know, that data.
Yeah, let's give it a
Uh,
shot.
let's see. Yeah.
And then it's asking about the interaction. We can say, let's make it really casual, right? This isn't like this intense business use case. This is more a casual usage. So we can leave it at that. So tone is always really important. And then would you like to try it out? Just describe a skyline you're imagining and see what it creates. So did you say Minneapolis?
Hold on. Yes, I did.
Oops. All right, so let's bring that over here. And we're just going to type in Minneapolis skyline and see what it does.
So like other prompts that you could add in there is like to ask the user what time of year they want their skyline.
Right. How does that one look?
Does Minneapolis have a river? I don't really even know anything about Minneapolis.
D, you're our expert.
That's fabulous. I know that bridge. Yes, that's it, actually.
Okay, perfect.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, look, and it even gives you a little description of what you're looking at.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Right, and I didn't ask it to do this, right? It automatically decided to give me this information.
I guess by tying it to, real whatever you said, I forget what you said exactly, real maps and locations, it kind of wanted you to like feel like you actually were getting what you asked for.
Yeah. Yeah, so here's another one. And
Same bridge.
yeah, different view, but pretty cool. So it works, right? So let's take a look at what the back end now looks like, right? So we didn't do anything here. We only use the create section, but the create section as we went through the process configured it. So it gives it the name, it gives it the image, it gives it the description, and then it gives it the instructions and conversation starters. And we can look in the instructions, and there's not a whole lot here, right? So the GPT specializes in creating these images, focusing on realistic and beautiful representations that tie to real maps and locations, right? So everything we said to it, it incorporated. And then it encourages users to describe their vision in detail, including time of day. So let's take a look here at the conversation starters. And what I would probably do, considering where we started, is give me a city that you would like to see its skyline, or what city's skyline would you like to see, right? Or, and then the other thing I would do is in the instructions, I would say prompt users with the question, which season? Okay, and so again, we'll go back here, we'll hit save, we'll leave it open to everyone. And we'll hit confirm, and you can see it categorized it in the DALL-E, which is the image generation section. And then we can see, so it should really be which city's skyline. I'll change that after. So we'll start here. Which city's skyline would you like to see? And you can see it already goes, which season would you like? So
So why don't you do Jersey City, New Jersey, summer? Nighttime. Interesting. It's prompting a lot more than it did in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, and so just given the nature of this, it's always going to have a little bit of random in it. And it's another thing that I found, the more instruction you give, the less chance it has of going off the rails.
Right. So that's looking at Jersey City from, I guess, Manhattan. Okay. That building in the front is definitely in Jersey City.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Right. And that's, I mean, that's it for building a basic GPT. I'll show you another one.
So it's
Whoops.
really a GPT is really a way to reuse a set of instructions for a specific purpose.
To reuse a set of instructions for us. I would say it's taking the power of ChatGPT and putting it within a box of specific instructions.
Okay.
Um, let's.
Like if you wanted, like let's say you were building a report analyzer,
Mhm.
you could have it have whatever, input and export requirements already built out and like analysis filters built out. And you would just, the prompt would be enter the data location and the destination for this file. That could be like an example of something you might do, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can do. Here's one. Okay, so this is another one. This is actually, I am building this now, so this might be a mess, but let's see, right? So for this one, the idea is you can take a receipt, scan it, and then it's going to do some stuff. So here's a receipt. Whoops. Okay. So I'm uploading this receipt. Okay, and you can see it's a little bit wonky. It's not a good picture. It's all crumply and whatnot. And this one actually has a built-in action. So the idea of this is that it'll scan the receipt, it'll put it into a table with the criteria that I asked it to pull out of the receipt. And then it will take that information and push it into a Google Sheet that I've already created. Again, this is still in the works, so we'll see if this works in any part. Some of the time the images will work, some won't. I've also noticed that image files that are HEIC, which is sort of the standard for iPhones, often have issues. So this I made into I just took a screenshot and made it a PNG. But let's see if I could do the first part.
So this is good for really automating things that are repetitive that you do and require some level of maybe processing to accomplish, but maybe not a human level of processing.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. And I would say with anything related to AI and GPTs, it's really important to check your work. So I'm not gonna, whoops. I won't continue with this one just because it's still in working. But here's like another one, right? So this one I built and reads resume and job description and crafts a cover letter. So
That's a very useful one for a job hunter.
yeah, so I can go into LinkedIn. And I can go to jobs. And I'll open this job. And I mean, obviously I'm doing this on the fly. I don't know anything about this job. But I'm just copying everything here. And I'm sure there's a way to do this, or there will be a way to do this by copying the link. But for now, I'm just going to I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to drop it in. Oops, I went to the wrong one. Sorry about that. Drop it in here. Okay. And so the whole deal is that this is going to write a cover letter for me based on my resume, which I've already uploaded in the back end, and I'll show you in a sec, and then the job post that I just put in. And so you can see here, if I go to edit, my resume is here. And the instructions, there's really not a whole lot, right? Read my resume, and then I'll give you a job listing, and then take the data from each and write a compelling professional cover letter. Which is exactly what it did, right? So I would still always read through these, right? Because sometimes it's not perfect, but we can say like this is all accurate. All this is accurate straight from my resume. And then it's pulling in the company name. So yes, this is something that if you're looking for a job, and I mean, I think we've all been there, right? If you're looking for a job writing and you want to do custom cover letters for each one, it's extremely time consuming.
Yeah.
And now it's a matter of seconds, right? I mean, I could just
You could say like, here's my general cover. You could add in there, here's my general cover letter and my general tone of how
Yep.
I write my cover letters. Here's maybe instead of just giving me your resume, if you wanted to make it clearer, you could add in like bullets of like your work experience or whatever. And then like it would just incorporate all that information, right?
Yeah, I could also say like custom, right? It still works like regular chat GPT. So I can say custom tailor this to focus on pet care. I don't know. We'll see what it does. Right. So it's saying like we could do it, but it doesn't mention anything about pet care. But
Yeah.
if that's what you want to do, cool. You know, with a rich background and whatever, we think it could work. And yeah, right. So foster innovation in the pet care industry and nurturing relationships within the pet care. So it's possible to do it even if it doesn't quite make sense. Let me show you one more example of documents in the back end, right? So this one is a business my brother has, and I did a few things. One is I took just a bunch of random documents we had in Google and I downloaded them. And then the other thing is I gave it a list in the instructions of a bunch of contacts we have, just because I was testing this out. And so I can say, give me a list of all knowledge docs. Right. And so it's giving me a list of everything that, and you can see, right, the deed is here, the prop map 2 is here, the quail maintenance is here, and then there's some more. And then I can say, tell me everything in the data about the Bobcat. The Bobcat is a piece of machinery. We don't actually have a live Bobcat. But you can see here, right, and it's pulling straight from this general info and manual that we built out. And it's saying things that you should and should not do, right? And this is all straight out of it. You know, don't use it when you're on drugs or alcohol. Always wear your seatbelt. This is how you steer. This is how you start up the machine. Give me a list of contacts for, I don't know, let's just see what you have. Right, and so again, you can see it's always doing this sort of thing when it's doing any action, whether it's an action to go to another site, or it's going to be working internally, looking at the knowledge. Yeah, so this one didn't work quite as well, this prompt. So I'd have to refine this a little. But this is just to demonstrate that you can put a lot of data into it, and then you can pull it out really simply. And hopefully this will be something that I can be linking to my Google Drive, so that as data updates, right? If I update this document, I will need to re-upload this document. But if this is linking directly to my Google Drive where I have my documents and I update this, it'll update automatically. So I think this uploaded knowledge will be something that disappears in the not too distant future because, you know, most things are stored online these days. So I guess we're coming to the end of time. Were there any other questions that you had or things that you wanted to dig into a little bit deeper?
I think that was really helpful at a super high level into understanding sort of the implications of what a chat GPT are. And just kind of open my eyes at least as to like how to think about creating a chat GPT. And really it's all about repetitive actions, right? Like that's what these things seem like they're best used for, is how do you streamline something you do all the time over and over again, or like, you know, maybe it's not you do the same thing, but it's sort of a structured way to think about it.
Yeah, I would say so. D, anything for you?
Sure. Now, um, I got a couple things going through my mind right now. So you go to Chat GPT to create a GPT, right? Is that
Yes.
what we're doing? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So now, my uh situation is creating prompts. You know, like I said last night, I was attempting to do some things with Mid Journey, and I see that I need help with you know, creating the right prompts
Mhm.
to give it, you know, even if I wanted to create a GPT to perform certain tasks,
Yep.
you know, it's coming up with the prompts to get that accomplished. So,
Yeah. I would say, let me see if I can pull this up really quickly. There's a great course that I took on it. If I can find it real quick, I will drop it in the chat for you. But yeah, prompt engineering, writing prompts is a whole adventure in and of itself. I would say probably a little earlier than getting into GPTs. But I would take a look at this, and this one is great because it's free. This was done a little while ago. I just dropped it into the chat if you see that, D. But this professor is great. I've spoken to him about the work he's doing. He's really like at the cutting edge of a lot of this, and the way his course is done is very easy to follow. It has, you know, it's nice because you can start and stop the video at any point. It has coursework that you can do, and if you want to get a certificate, you could pay for it, or you can do it for free and just audit the class. So I would say if you're just trying to sort out learning about basic prompting, this is a really good place to start.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. And then also did you find me on Eventbrite?
Yes, it did.
Okay, so keep an eye out. I'll probably run another like intro to AI and using ChatGPT, which will have more information on actual prompting and prompt patterns. So keep an eye on Eventbrite, and I should be putting one up in the next week or two on that.
Okay, great.
All right. Cool. Well, I appreciate you guys attending. And I think
Thanks,
we can wrap
Josh.
up.
It was very interesting and very helpful to understand
Sure.
this.
Cool. Let me ask you one other question before we jump. Do you mind if I post this anywhere?
I don't have any problem with it.
Is
Not
that
at
a,
all.
okay? Excellent. Excellent. So I might just put this up on mine.
I can see the replay and try to keep up this time.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I can I have to think where I'm gonna put it. I'll probably go up on my website and maybe LinkedIn. But I'll see if I think when you signed up on Eventbrite, I have your email. I could even forward it to you also.
Okay, thank you very much. But thanks for sharing. That was wonderful. I really, yeah, I'm like, it's a brave new territory. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, fantastic. I will end it here and have a great day.